day of May 2022. Please rise if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Let's join together for a brief moment of silence as we keep in our thoughts and prayers all the men and women of our armed services who bravely defend our freedoms, but also as we've crossed this million-person in America threshold of COVID deaths, over 6 million now worldwide. So this pandemic has really taken a tremendous toll on human life. It's still here. Several years into the pandemic, we're reminded by this current surge in cases. So the numbers, luckily at the hospital, are quite low, but we're not done yet, unfortunately. So let's remember the fallen from COVID, but also again keep in our thoughts and prayers all of the brave men and women of our armed services. Let's join together in silence. Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you kindly call the roll?
Supervisor Schneiderman.
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Present.
Councilman Martell.
Present.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Scibone.
Present.
All right. So we're all here. Let me start by adding a couple items to our agenda. There are 5 walk-on resolutions that I request the board consider adding on. 40357 is sponsored by Councilman Bouvier and co-sponsored by Councilman Scivone. It authorizes food truck vendors at the Southampton Animal Shelter Paws in the Park special event on the 22nd of May. 40381 is our 9th warrant. 40391 awards and authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract for traffic line striping and traffic markings with Seneca Pavement. 40395 it's a notice of public hearing to consider adoption of the 2022 CPF pilot plan. And lastly, 40402 is a notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 50 to allow members of public bodies of the town to participate in meetings via video conferencing. So I'll make a motion to to add all 5 of those onto our agenda.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. This requires 4 out of 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that was a unanimous vote. All right, next up, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our April 26th meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, next will be communications. Madam Clerk, would you please read the communications?
The following communications have been received in my office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning for Shellfish Aquaculture Lease Program in Peconic and Gardeners Bay in Suffolk County 2022 agricultural districts. The Town of East Hampton, public hearing notice. Town of Southold, public hearing notice. And the Village of Sag Harbor, public hearing notices. And financial disclosure statement filings from the listed individuals have been received. Land use applications from the Zoning Board of Appeals for a location at 585 Middle Line Highway, Noyak. The following bid and request for proposals received for traffic line striping and traffic markings for the highway. Following reports were filed from the Town Comptroller, the April 2022 monthly financial reports. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Sunday. Okay, we're going to move on to public hearings. We have 3 public hearings scheduled for this afternoon. Madam Clerk, would you read the first public hearing notice?
Public hearing number 1, to consider amending Town Code, Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, amending and adding parking prohibited in designated locations, regulations on a portion of County Road 80, Montauk Highway, East Quogue.
All right, thank you. Well, I guess our town engineer, Tom Houghton, is here. And Assistant Town Attorney, Sean Cambridge. Both of you are going to introduce this?
Yeah, we can both speak on this, Supervisor.
Team effort.
Good afternoon, members of the town board and supervisors, gentlemen. We do have this on for public hearing today. I just want to make it aware, we have noticed this for our next town board meeting as well with a slight change. Because this was noticed, we will open and hear any commentary today. It's substantially similar. These changes are based upon recommendation of the county, and our engineer, Mr. Houghton, can speak more to the specifics of that. But this will be noticed for your next town board meeting as well.
All right. Tom, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so Mr. Supervisor, in April of 2021, Alex Prager from the Suffolk County DPW was in contact with Christine Fenton and requested 6 specific changes on County Road 80 in the East Quogue area. They're all adjacent to intersecting streets on the shoulder. They look to extend the no parking area to increase sight distance for vehicles turning out onto 80 so that they can see oncoming cars from a further distance away. They also increase sight distance for crosswalks as well, so that you won't have a car right next to a crosswalk blocking a potential person in that crosswalk. We've also been in contact with the CAC, and they've asked for a couple other in the area, specifically to expand upon what the DPW was asking for. So,
Okay, so today we can hold a public hearing. Will it count? Or we have to have a brand-new hearing on the modification?
We'll open the new hearing, but we'll include any comments from today's hearing in that proceeding as well. And we'll leave this one open, I'd recommend, at the same time.
Okay. Okay, that's a different. Second. Okay, all right, is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard at this first public hearing? This has to do with East Quogue and along Montauk Highway in East Quogue. All right, hearing none. I think, board, we should just leave it open.
Yeah,
So,
I'd like to make a motion to leave it
you-
open
you
for
wanna-
2 weeks until our next,
Well, adjourn it to
Public
the
meeting.
next hearing date.
Mhm.
What's the hearing date? Is it
The next hearing is the 24th.
All right, so
PM.
Councilman Schiavone is making a motion to adjourn the public hearing to the 24th, is that the date? Of May? Yes?
Yes, the 24th at 6 PM.
6 PM. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay. Madam Clerk, the second hearing notice?
Public hearing number 2, to consider amending Town Code, Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, to add a new parking prohibited in designated locations regulation on a portion of Summerfield Lane Watermill.
All right, and who is introducing this? First, on behalf of the town, do we have anybody? We're familiar with this.
Yeah, we've looked at this before.
yeah, Tom Horton again. So, I believe this was to amend it from no vehicles whatsoever to be able to drop off in this area. We had a public hearing, what was it, 2 months ago
Right.
now on this, and we've since amended it.
Yeah, we had a public hearing for no stopping. We've decided in conversations with the neighbors that it'd be better to have a no parking designation than no stopping.
Yes.
Okay, any questions for Tom? Okay, so we'll go to the public. I don't know if anybody's filled out cards on this one. Barry Gordon. Yeah, that's the only card. Barry?
I'll obviously try to keep this quick because, we've been through a lot of this before, but let me just thank Councilman Martell for helping us present our request, and of course for the board to listen to this today. I submitted for everybody to a short PDF document, yes, to show briefly some of the issues that we've experienced. The first page in that document indicates, cars, trucks, other vehicles that are parked in the circle. And when they do so, they obviously prevent any other large truck, car, or emergency vehicle from getting around. I'd just like to add that over the years, I've lived on Summerfield Lane since 1990. And at that time, if we got 1 or 2 cars a day coming around the circle, it was a lot. Today, of course, it's dramatically different. We have 25 houses now on Summerfield Lane alone, and we have a continual situation where we've had tear downs and rebuilds. Right now, for example, there's actually 3 properties that are under construction just on our street, so we get a lot of large construction vehicles trying to make it around. So that's the biggest part of our problem, of course, is the traffic and allowing any cars, any emergency vehicles to get through. On the second page of the document, you'll see that Summerfield Lane, it has a smaller cul-de-sac than some of the other cul-de-sacs in Watermill. Wild Goose, which is right in our area, has a diameter of 104 feet with no island, and we have a diameter of 94 feet, 10 less. So with the smaller turning radius allowed, it makes it even more difficult for the cars and trucks to navigate around. The other thing I'd like to say is that we're all very proud of our island on Summerfield Lane. We think it's really something for the town to have, if you will, as far as keeping the roads and keeping our streets beautifully. We were fortunate enough when they redid the road a few years back, they allowed us to run a pipe under the ground when they tore it up. And so now our island gets watered.
30 seconds.
I'm sorry?
Our clerk said
30
30
seconds.
seconds.
Oh,
Just if you could wrap up.
all right. Anyway, so the third page is really just showing where the signs are. It's just going to be, the request is just at the entrance and at the north end of the island, just so that we can preclude cars and any vehicles from parking there. And we're happy that to go with the no parking resolution at this point, instead of the no stopping. We were given leeway on that, and we'd like to pursue that at this time.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard at this public hearing? This is Summerfield Lane, the cul-de-sac, no parking signs. See,
Supervisor, may I just add that there were 3 opinions that were sent in the email, and I can
Okay,
make
thank you.
them distributed.
all right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I'm not seeing any more participants from the public, so I think we can close this.
Yeah, I just want to add that I did drive Summerfield a couple times. I drive a pretty large SUV, and it was difficult for me to really navigate the cul-de-sac had there been a truck or anything there. So the real fear is emergency vehicles being able to get down it. Our apparatuses are getting larger and larger here in the town, so I think it is a safety issue if we can keep that cul-de-sac clear.
And I do appreciate the shifting this from the original proposal from the no stopping to the no parking, which is more traditional in terms of similar regulations we have elsewhere. So, all right, so we have a motion to close the public hearing by Councilman Martell.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a resolution of adoption in the packet?
Yes.
Okay, if you want, we can take that out of order when we get there. So if you want to wait, then we'll try to get to it early in the meeting. All right, let's move on to the third public hearing.
Public hearing number 3, to consider amending various provisions of Chapter 330 zoning, Article 28, landmarks in historic districts and heritage resource areas, to meet certain requirements for designation as a certified local government.
All right, thank you, Sunday. Is Ed, are you introducing it? Vicky? I think we're going to share. All right, co-host. All right, let's, Vicky Kahn.
Vicki Kahn with Landmarks Historic Districts Board. Good afternoon, Supervisor Schneiderman and members of the town board. We have been working very closely with you and with SHPO, which is the New York State Historic Preservation Office, since last year when the council approved our moving forward with the requirements for the Certified Local Government Program or designation. We've had two work sessions with you prior to this hearing, and we have worked with town attorneys Kara Back and Kelly Doyle in drafting the code changes that we'd like to review with you today. I'll give a 2-minute recap on the benefits to the town in having this designation as a certified local government, and then the details of those code changes will be reviewed by our chair, Ed Wisnowski. But before I get into that, I would like to read into the record a statement that was sent to us by Linda Mackey, and she is the certified local government representative from SHPO, and she is a preservation analyst, so it's very short, and I'd like to read it to you. She sent it to us this morning. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Mackey, and I'm the certified local government representative for the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, also known as the State Historic Preservation Office. I want to thank the town supervisor, Jay Schneiderman, and the town board for their continuing support for the historic buildings, properties, and culture that help define Southampton's distinctive character. The CLG's primary goal is to encourage municipalities to develop and maintain community preservation efforts in coordination with local land use planning and improvement activities. Participation in the CLG program allows municipalities to partner with the state and federal governments throughout the processes of identifying and evaluating community resources and protecting historic properties. There are over 70 communities in New York State's Certified Local Government Program, ranging from rural villages to large cities. The benefits of the program include access to SHPO's staff for technical assistance and training, and the opportunity to apply for grants to support local preservation and educational activities. The CLG funding has enabled communities to conduct historic resource surveys, produce publications such as design guidelines and brochures, undertake planning studies such as a historic preservation plan, and present training programs. The main step towards certified local government certification is the adoption of a local preservation ordinance that meets state and federal requirements for designation of historic resources, composition of commission, and review processes. Compared to the state and national register of historic places, a local preservation ordinance provides the strongest protection for a broader range of historic resources, including private property. Accordingly, the CLG requirements ensure that the local historic preservation program is operating under best practices, is effective, and that actions are legally defensible. Once a local ordinance is passed, the municipality will submit an application, which is first reviewed and approved by SHPO, and then sent for final approval and certification by the National Park Service. By becoming a CLG, a community strengthens its abilities to make important decisions about local preservation, development, and planning issues. We look forward to working with you in preserving New York State's historic and cultural resources. And that is from Linda Mackey. She would have been here, but she could not make it from Albany today. So if we could do a brief recap, and I'm not sure how we get this slide up here. Is that on? Okay, back. I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me take off these glasses so I can see. Always helps, right?
Yes.
Glad somebody else understands the problem. So here's a little brief synopsis on some of the things we've talked about. the benefits of a CLG designation that were actually mentioned by Linda. There is funding for the town in terms of various small grants. There's technical assistance, there's legal advice, there's sustainability advantages, and there are also tax credits for property owners. Now, one of the things that we wanted to sort of bring back in our collective memory is that our commitment, we had a 1999 comprehensive town plan which committed us to historic preservation. And certainly historic preservation is critical to our town, preserving our town's character, its identity. It makes us what we are, our historic buildings. We want to protect our historic and cultural past, and we need to recognize and codify this commitment. This has never actually been done. Part of the, we would also partner with the Federal Historic Preservation Program, and as I mentioned before, we'd have New York State grant access, and we can also nominate to the National Register. Now, we have a number of, not a number, they're actually relatively few, but they're important code modifications we'd like to review with you today that are required as part of the designation process. And this public hearing and these code changes are only the first step. The first, we have some minor code changes. This is section 330-320B, which affects the composition, the terms, and the membership of the Landmarks Historic District Board to present a more balanced membership so it reflects the town and has staggered terms, and the town historian would be a non-voting member. Section 330-325, ABC, provides for owners' hardship relief and appeal to the ZBA. The ZBA appeal, by the way, is also subject to public hearings, and of course, homeowners always have Article 78 proceeding access. There are major code changes. Section 330-321B, it's that the written consent of property owners is not required after a town board landmark designation and public hearing. And town designations, property or portion thereof, cultural resource, structure, district, don't have to qualify for a state or a national register of historic places. And finally, on section 330, 321E, town designations are subject to public hearing. And that's just a little summary, graphic summary of the designation process itself. As I mentioned, we are only in the very first step. And with that, I'd like our chair, Ed Wesnowski, to come up and go through some of the background and answer some of the questions that you and the public may have on these proposed code changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
And I'm going to leave this for you.
Good afternoon, members of the town board, Supervisor Schneiderman, Town Clerk Shermar. I'm Ed Wisnowski, member of the Landmarks Board. And the process that Vicki spelled out is very important for the future development and activity of the Landmarks Board. But in looking at the proposed changes, which Vicki just summarily went through, the most important one is the removal of owner nomination and owner petitioning for historic district formation in the town. There have been developed over the last 25 years more difficult conditions for seeing such things happen. One is the enthusiastic real estate industry in the community that makes valuations of historic property less significant for outside, very often outside development. Many properties have been bought up, for example, on Bridgehampton's Main Street, which I'm somewhat familiar with, which have their taxable addresses in New York City, Florida, state of Washington, Los Angeles, California. Very few local owners of the private sites, private elements of property in the community are in local hands. We, of course, have some public ownership by the town of Southampton of some buildings. So trying to communicate and engage the interest of people who are very often interested in real estate development and redevelopment has become very problematic. This is kind of an old story that we have here. Which I hope the busyness of the computer, if we can get, there we go, whoop, all right. I've got it. Okay. We have had a very long-term project here over the many years that, for some reason, the
Getting very
codes. We started out in 1999 with a comprehensive plan, hoping to establish landmarks and historic districts. In the period of time from 1999 to this day, we have 33 landmarks in the town of Southampton, only 13 of which are in the hands of private owners. We have approximately 1,100 properties that have been listed in previous historic surveys, and the owners of many of those properties obviously have not found the motivation to apply for a landmark designation in the town of Southampton. And additionally, in those 22, 23 years, we have no historic districts that have been realized in the town of Southampton. The incorporated villages of Sagaponack, Southampton, Sag Harbor, all have historic districts, and historic districts established under the standards of the Certified Local Government Program that you heard Vicki mention a few minutes ago. They basically have eliminated owner nomination or petition for the landmark or district designations. If we look at a few of the kinds of history to the attempt, which long predate my involvement with the Landmarks Board, in 2003, this was a mapping done for a Hamlet Center study by the town of Southampton, designating the prospective landmark or historic district properties in the community in 2003. This is the 2000, and there were several others beyond. This is the latest from 2014, outlining a historic district done in 2014, 8 years ago. I arrived on the Landmarks Board about that time and said, wow, and kind of was enthusiastic about a freshly done survey which outlined historic districts, and outside of historic districts, the prospective landmark properties valuable to the town of Southampton. It was 8 years later, and maybe about 10% of those structures in the outlined Bridgehampton district are now gone. by virtue of mostly demolition. This is the steps that I think multiple generations of town boards have undertaken, feeling they were making steps towards historic preservation. The 1999 Comprehensive Plan, 2003 Cultural Resources Survey, 2000, Cultural Resources Survey, 2004 the Hamlet Center Plan, the map of which I just referred to. In 2007, the Long Island Power Authority was required by the town of Southampton to do an impact study, their environmental impact study on historic properties in Southampton, in Watermill, in Bridgehampton, in order to facilitate the approval of the underground power line. And they did their own identification of historic properties. I think they identified 300 or so. And 2009, a Hamlet Heritage Area Report done by consultant Ann Sanford was done, outlining the historic properties along Main Street for the formation of a historic district, and of course the most recent 2014. While these all seem steps on the road to historic preservation, they're really steps on what I call the treadmill, basically doing the same thing over and over again without actually having effective historic preservation decision-making in place. Just a quote from the Long Island Power Authority 2007, they noted that owner consent was required for historic designations, and to date, in 2007, there were very few. The same story could hold true and the same quote be used today. The 1999 Comprehensive Plan outlined a few important elements to have an effective historic preservation strategy, cooperation within communities, and number 9 in its recommendations were to have an integrated approach with state and federal agencies in order to have an effective program along with community groups. So here we are, basically the opportunity to join our incorporated communities in the town of Southampton to have the same standards they have. I think it's important for the town of Southampton. I can reflect that in Sag Harbor, many years ago, there was a lack of kind of community spirit. There was the historic district movement, which I think was 1978 or so in Sag Harbor. Got started, and in 1996 they expanded it in Sag Harbor. But the event a couple of years ago of the destruction of the Sag Harbor Cinema brought out a focus in the community on the value of the historic character of Sag Harbor's Main Street. And I think that was a reflection of the fact that they had already moved and found very valuable experience in the historic district formation in their community. And I think the town of Southampton can have that same kind of benefit, or its hamlets, wherever a historic district might eventually be established. The procedures are in place to make it appropriate for those people who might be included, either as property owners in a historic district to be heard, to have appeals made under this code. And I think eventually, if it's adopted, that it will be of tremendous benefit to our communities. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ed. Excuse me. Any board questions for Vicki or Ed at this point?
No, one thing I did want to point out that the board, what we're looking at here is, as Vicki pointed out, is very early stages of trying to get to this point. And so we're just looking at these code changes as part of a way to be considered as a CLG.
Okay. So let's go to the public.
I'd just like to add that
sorry,
this
Councilman?
this legislation is also for the entire town. I know we were talking about one specific hamlet, but it would be for this kind of preservation throughout the town of Southampton.
Okay, I have 3 cards. I don't know the order they came in, and so I'll just call in the order I have them in front of me, and then if there's others who wish to be heard too. We'll start with Nina Deck. Well, you ended up first.
Hi, thank you so much. It's nice to see all of you. Thank you for having me today. I'm Nina Deck. I'm the executive director of the Bridgehampton Historical Society and Museum, and I'm not an historian or a preservationist. I'm sort of an administrator, but I am living in this world of historic preservation, and I wanted to add just a different perspective to this discussion today. I just wanted to say, just quickly, I've lived here for 40 years, on and off, since I've been, like 2. And I, for a short time, lived in California, and I lived in a place called Mission Viejo, which is just east of Irvine. And in those days, this is the early 90s, it was a new community, and it was just being sort of built. It had been around for a long time, but it had an influx of people, and it had no town center, and none of the buildings that I knew of, perhaps there were historic in nature. And the space had no center, and I didn't last there. And most of the people who lived there did not last there and would leave after about 4 years of living there. And it was because we had no sense of history in that place. And like many of you and others, I pined for this sort of unique sense of community that exists here, a multi-generational architecture that's unique to the Northeast and other places in the country, but specifically to this space. And I just wanted to say, just briefly really, that in my estimation, in my short experience in this position and having met all of you and hearing your passion and really getting to talk to you and feel your energy about all of this, your focus and your dedication about this, that historic and historical architecture is aspirational. It's a visual reminder of who we are and who we've been in our greatest moments and who we can be. And it's a tangible expression of dreams and imagination and passion and all the other emotion that goes on with that, of those who built those houses and lived and worked in those spaces. And those physical properties carry with them the energy and the hopes and dreams of a community. And that's really what historic preservation is about. History is not a dead thing. It really is. We're living in this historical moment right now. We are living history. And those buildings and historic and historical architecture represents that. And it's a representation of the fact that we're all connected. When landmarking and preserving buildings were also, and this is an important fact, giving voice to the unknown, to those who worked in those buildings, who had no name, who had no voice, who built those buildings, who are also meaningful community members, who are represented in the architecture of these spaces. And this is our way of saying, we see you, and we hear you, and we honor you, and you are part of us, and we are part of you. And we do that because for those who will come after us, long after we're gone, our children and our children's children, who will have a sense of who we were.
30 seconds.
Just as we have a sense of what those who came before us. And the last thing I'd just like to say is that when we allow all of these buildings to go, if we were to allow them to go, we're allowing part of our history to be erased in this way. We're allowing ourselves to be erased in this way. And so I'm grateful that you're having this discussion and moving forward with this discussion and to be part of it. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Nina. Thank you. All right, next up, Amy Paradise.
Hi there, Amy Paradise. I'm one of the 33. That's an amazingly small number. I hope you pursue this vigorously and quickly, given all of the changes in your building code. I think if you don't, you're not going to have anything left. And it's long past time that the rest of the town had the protections that the villages and stuff were able to give themselves. And there's so many buildings. Mr. Wisnowski mentions absentee owners. I mean, even in my neighborhood, I mean, one of the most beautiful houses there is they call it an East Lake. And the woman's in Vermont all the time. and it just sits there. I mean, it hasn't fallen to pieces, but it's not well cared for, and nobody's giving it the designation. Our whole area was supposed to have a, what do they call that intermediate thing, like they did over in Flanders. It's not an historic district, but,
Heritage,
yeah. And it never got that even, and there's so many nice old houses. At any rate, please do it, please go quickly. And economically, it's a boon. This is what Frederick City did in the 70s, and you can't beat the city of Frederick for economic vitality. And I mean, it survived everything. It survived the crash, it survived the pandemic. It's good for the town.
all right, thank you, Amy. Okay, Pamela Harwood?
Hello, Supervisor Schneiderman and members of the Town Board. I'm Pamela Harwood, representing the Bridgehampton Civic Association. I think this couldn't be a more timely conversation. I think all of you are aware. I don't think you need any of us to tell you how urgent this is, how important it is, but also how important it has always been. And the idea that we had a comprehensive plan written in 1999 and 23 years later, we are not very far advanced from that, if anything. The time to have conversations, I think, is long gone. That ship has sailed. We are now under such pressure, as you all know, from developers, snatching up buildings in our main streets. I see what's going on in Sag Harbor, even though they're incorporated. I see it going on in Bridgehampton, and I know Ed has done a very good job of describing Bridgehampton. We've had conversations about an historic district. It has not moved forward. 23 years of inaction is way too long. I have a sense of urgency about this, as do so many. And I thank Nina for being so poetic about it, really, but I'm much more prosaic about it. I think we need a call to action. I urgently I want you to consider moving ahead with this as quickly as you can, because as we speak, owners of commercial properties on Main Street have their properties up for sale. They hear that someone else, like World Pie, just got $8 million for their building. Hey, I can get a piece of that. This is my time. I'm going to sell out. And if we don't, not all of them have historic and architectural merit, but it's all very important to keep our main streets alive. But even beyond that, in Bridgehampton, and Tommy John, as you say, this is about the whole town of Southampton, not just about Bridgehampton where I live. But we are losing off our main streets, as we speak, all the time. Our old houses, our historic houses, are being demolished. One just happened last week on Main Street in Bridgehampton. I'm not saying it had great architectural or historic merit, but it was old, and we are not going to have anything that's old and in scale and small and not a big mega mansion. We don't even know who are buying these properties. If I had my way, I wouldn't even allow LLCs where you don't know the beneficial owner to be buying properties. We could have Russian oligarchs here buying all of these things on Dune Road in Bridgehampton. Looks like you have convention centers being built there. Nobody's ever in them. These are places where people are parking money in our communities, and we have no control over it. And I would love to see this move forward. I know you've worked very hard on it, and I'm sure you have too. I know Tommy John is very interested in this. You've said so before. But I also have another concern. And I got so enthusiastic reading about this, and then I got to the end. And it said, of course, everybody will then have the option to appeal going to the ZBA. And then I was horrified, because I don't think it's a secret that our Southampton town ZBA is very liberal in granting variances. And as soon as I saw that, I said, well, we could all go through this, go through a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of money.
30 seconds.
And then owners can go to the ZBA. Good, you're given a variance. You don't have to participate in this. I think we need to strengthen our message to the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that can only come from the town board. The town board appoints those members. And if they do not have the same goals as the community and as you do, we need to have some turnover and some strict guidelines about their vision. Is their vision the same thing as our vision? That's what I worry about. this eventually going to the ZBA and all this work going for nothing because people are given variances. So thank you for considering that. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Can I just, Pam, just two quick comments. One, with the ZBA, of course, groups like your group, the Civic Association, can appear at the hearing for the ZBA and make your perspective known. The other thing I wanted to say too is World Pie owner is a preservation owner. So he's somebody who's deeply committed to preserving that's one of the reasons why he purchased it. So I have no doubt that that will be maintained as a historic building.
Oh, that's very, very good news. But I will say, in answer, yes, I have very often gone to ZBA hearings and spoken, but one voice is not enough. In the end, it's the members of that board who get to make the decisions, not the people who speak at the public hearings.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Just also for the record, the town has done quite a bit of work on the Bridgehampton Historic District and has prepared a complete report. Julie Green, who's the town historian, did an excellent job. And I think perhaps it was delayed pending this legislation, where we could landmark or create a historic district on our own initiative. Correct, Ed? So that has been, I think, the reason why that legislation has not been introduced yet to create that historic district. So it's not that we haven't done anything. We've actually done a considerable amount of work in that regard. All right. Anyone else who wishes to speak at this third public hearing? Now's your chance. I know there were some people who wanted to be here and couldn't. Did you want to leave this open, or?
Well, it's my legislation, and
Okay,
I would
I'm
like to
sorry.
leave it open until our next town board meeting at 6, just for fairness, so that
Oh, well,
everyone gets the opportunity
Could
to.
we close the public hearing, leave just the written record open?
I was going to keep both open, but I defer to the board. If the board would like to do that, that's fine.
You're the sponsor.
We do have the legislation in the package. I'll table that till the next town board meeting. If the board prefers, I'll close the hearing for written comment.
Yeah, I would say close the hearing, but leave the written record open for 2 weeks. Right, so it's eligible for a vote on the 24th?
Yes.
Is that okay? All right,
I
so,
think that sounds fair.
all right, so Councilman Bouyer is making the motion to close the hearing, leave the written record open for 2 weeks till noon on the 24th?
That's fine.
Okay, and seconded by Councilman Scavone?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're now going to go to public portion. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in public portion? You can speak on any matter that you wish. Going once, twice, okay. I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we can now get to the agenda, and I promised to take a thing or two out of order. So we have the folks here from Summerfield Lane cul-de-sac. Why don't we do that one first? It's on page 34. I'll make a motion to take Resolution 535 of 22 out of order.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. All right, so,
Town Board Resolution 535 of 2022, resolution of adoption amending Town Code, Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, to add a new parking prohibited in designated locations, regulation on a portion of Summerfield Lane in Watermill.
Second?
seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, sorry. I struggled for a second. Is there any discussion? I just on the motion, I appreciate the changes that were made and making it more in conformity with other similar restrictions. And, I think that it makes sense. I don't think it's onerous. It is a narrow cul-de-sac, and times have changed. There's a lot more residents, a lot of vehicles parked there, and then it makes it hard for people to safely get to their property. So I'm certainly going to support it. Anyone else on this?
Let's vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously? Okay, so,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so I guess is there anything else anyone wants to take out of order? I was gonna take the one for for Controller Marchese out of order, but he's not here, so we'll just keep going.
Let's just do the agenda.
All right, so let's go to the top of the agenda, Resolution 501 of,
Hi, Lynn.
that's Councilman Scavone.
Town Board Resolution 501 of 2022. This is to adopt town one-year agricultural use agreements for 2022 and 2023.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 502 of 2022, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, is to authorize asbestos abatement for 1380 Flanders Road, Flanders.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 503 of 2022, authorized purchase and installation of 2 Quonset huts from Britspan Building Systems Incorporated using the Sourcewell contract.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 504 of 2022, authorized purchase of 6 storage trailers from Casone Leasing Incorporated from the Suffolk County contract.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
approved.
Town Board Resolution 505 of 2022, I'd like to withdraw.
All right, would the clerk please withdraw the resolution? And we'll move on to 506.
Town Board Resolution 506 of 2022, authorize the purchase of a garbage truck from the Sourcewell contract with the Heel Company Vaso Systems Incorporated.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Town Board Resolution 507 of 2022. This to authorize the supervisor's advisor to sign a 3-year contract with CCSI for security license and support.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 508 of 2022, authorize supervisor to execute any and all documents accepting New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant funding from the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for town subaqueous water main crossings at Ponquag Bridge and Shinnecock Canal capital project.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. All right, I'd like to make a motion to sort of skip ahead here and take Resolution 539 of 2022, page 49, out of order. This is accepting the retirement of our controller. Do I have a second?
What page are you on?
Second by Councilman McNamara, page 49, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it is now eligible, so I will make a motion to approve Resolution 539 of 2022, accepting the retirement of Len Marchese, Town Controller.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. Okay, on the motion. There he is. Come on up. Don't hide back there.
Who's the second?
John.
You've never been shy before. So, Len, you have been with the town since before I got here. I guess, what, 12 years now? With the town? 10. Feels like
2012.
Oh, 2012. But you've been in public service for 35 years, huh? Which is
35 years.
pretty incredible.
It's good.
That is a long time.
I knew you a little bit when I was with the county. You
Well,
were-
that was a funny story on how I got here, too. That was like, it was a kind of a weird way. The same person
What,
that
you made a wrong
arranged
turn?
me to leave, arranged my exit interview, also arranged my interview here.
Huh.
So it was kind of funny,
That was during what, the Throne Holst administration?
Yeah.
You became controller?
yeah, when I'm speaking of John Kennedy, he had kind of figured out a way to get me out, and then he also figured out
He
a way
helped
to
you
get
get
me
a
in. So it's just like a kind of a weird thing of faith, and there you go.
So, you've had a very distinguished career, but particularly the time here at Southampton has been marked by several years, consecutive years of perfect audits. I've never seen that before in my 22-plus years in governmental leadership, where they can't find anything, no room
Well,
for
yeah,
improvement.
That's,
I told Dorothy.
Dorothy does, she is really detail-oriented, and you guys are gonna be lucky to have her.
Yes,
around
and
going.
we can talk about that in a minute, but right now it's about you.
Yeah.
You have been received awards of excellence from the General Accounting Officers Association. Am I saying that right?
GFOA.
GFOA, Finance Officers Association.
Correct.
Year after year.
Since I got here, started first year.
You have helped get the town top credit rating from Moody's, from Standard & Poor's. I helped too, but certainly, having you here made a very strong case as to why the town's deserves the highest credit rating in terms of our financial management. You have justified your own salary over and over again with savings by getting higher interest rates on investments, or just some structural changes that have saved millions and millions of dollars for the taxpayer.
Yes.
We've seen reserves, surpluses build up under your leadership. It's a series of good decisions. Your budgets, your estimates on revenues have been spot on, conservative if anything, and your projections for expenses have also been spot on or conservative. So it has led to an enviable financial position that we have. And you've also gotten involved in other things too. You've worked closely with the police department, closely with the IT department, closely with human resources, parks department, managing capital projects. There's really very few aspects of municipal government that you don't have some involvement in. And certainly you and I have worked very closely through my 6.5 years here as town supervisor. They say the town supervisor is the chief fiscal officer, and the relationship between a supervisor and a controller is so essential in terms of making the day-to-day decisions when you're managing hundreds of millions of dollars of public money. It's a big task, and it comes with a lot of weight. And I know you take it extremely seriously, and down to the most minute details. And I know that a lot of things cross my desk for me to approve, and I'm always trying to find a mistake and never finding one. You guys do a tremendous job over there, and yes, Dorothy is a big part of that, and I will be recommending Dorothy to step up to be the next controller. And I certainly hope and anticipate that the board will support that decision. But these are big shoes to fill. I'd also, I'm looking forward to continued relationship, that you've earned your retirement, and we're about to pass the resolution accepting your retirement, but I would like to ask the board to keep you on in a consulting capacity, to help us with budgets, help us with FIMP, which is a real bear of a project, the Fire Island to Montauk Point project, some of the capital projects, some of the issues with the town trustees. So there's plenty of additional work. So if we could continue to engage your services, I would appreciate that. All right, so I have with me, in front of me, a proclamation, and I won't read the whole thing, but let's see, March of 2012 is when you started here with the town, but again, 35 years as a public servant. Worked with Suffolk County Department of Health Services before that, Director of Finance for the town of Huntington. Earned a reputation for implementing significant cost containment and operational reorganizations, as well as major upgrades to IT infrastructure and financial systems. Outside the public sector, you're a practicing certified public accountant whose clients have included many Long Island businesses and several village governments. You received both a Master's of Business Administration along with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Accounting and Finance from St. John's University. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Southampton hereby presents this official proclamation to Leonard J. Marchese, and in doing so extends to him our congratulations, thanks, and best wishes. May he enjoy much health and happiness in the years to come. So that's signed by all of us.
Thank you.
That is
Thank you
for
so
you.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so, before I call the vote, anyone else want to say anything else to our esteemed controller?
Sure. Fiscal responsibility is one of the things that we do, and Len, having you in that office has really been a pleasure. It was really great to kind of go over to you and ask you the questions. You've got the answers one after the other, and it's incumbent on us, and it is your job to provide the fiscal responsibility to the people of the town of Southampton, and you did that admirably. Thank you. Our debt is down. Our fund balances are up. AAA bond ratings from Standard & Poor's and Moody's speaks volumes. So thank you, and enjoy your retirement, and I certainly support you coming back to help us out.
I have to say one thing just on that note. You know, making the books balance and whatever, yeah, that's you know, that's kind of basic accounting, and that's an important role.
It's important.
But when I make recommendations, and having 5 of you folks over all of these years, there's been a lot of people in your chairs. And for them to follow my guidance and advice is not always the easiest thing, because everybody wants to go kind of do their own thing. But I think that the boards over the years have had the confidence to follow my recommendations, and that's what's led our fund balances and our finances to go from maybe $15 or $20 million in reserves to, you know, 80 or 90 million where we are today, because those decisions aren't easy to be made, and I credit a lot of the board members for having the fortitude and the wisdom to follow those recommendations and to stick with that financial plan. And you know, we implemented a lot of things here. Some things I brought from the county. I mean, in the first few years, my staff was always like, well, this is how we did it in the county. This is how, and they were like, you know, we don't want to hear that. But a lot of the things were good. I didn't bring some of the bad things, so I brought a lot of the good things. The pay-as-you-go systems, the debt policies, all of those things are now institutionalized in our government. So even when you are not sitting here, the next body will have to follow those rules. It's not going to be so easy for anybody to just eliminate our debt reduction policy. That would not be an easy thing to do. Or, you know, our tax stabilization policy, or our pay-as-you-go policy. These are all things that have now been integrated into our financial thinking. And I think that will lead this town well into the future, and put us on always a strong footing, and not get us back into those situations where we were in the mid-2000s, I think. It wasn't too long ago that the town was not in all that great a shape. So I appreciate, you know, all of the wisdom of the board members for, again, taking my advice and sticking to the plan. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know, to that point, when I came here, I didn't come from government, and I was expecting a different kind of controller, like the ones I was used to in defense industries. And you proved me entirely wrong. My preconceived notions were completely changed, much to the benefit. What I want to thank you for is your making yourself available, a willingness to teach and hear those questions that you've probably heard 1,000 times, but also the staff that you put together to do this. People are just great and support you and respect you as I do. I consider you a friend, and I just want to thank you for all the time that you've spent with my minor picadillos on occasion on different projects.
Nothing's minor. If it's important to you, it's important to me.
Well, and I appreciate that, and that's what I was getting at. So thank you, Len. I'm glad you're going to come back as a consultant. I certainly support that. Happy to see you do that during the transition, and good luck to the great staff that you've created. It should be a real reasonable and a good transition without any hiccups whatsoever. So thank you.
Thank you.
So Len doesn't know this, but Len's one of my favorite people here. You ask Len a question, you get an answer. You don't get a speech, you don't get a written, you don't get a, I'll tell you later, you get an answer. You are a little intimidating. I feel sometimes like I'm going in to see my parents, you know? Len, I need $1,000 for seedlings. I need $5 million for a ball field, you know? But I appreciate that when I do come to you, you know, you take it seriously, that you understand that whatever we bring is something important to us, and I appreciate that, and we're gonna miss you. But good luck in retirement.
Dorothy's gonna be more intimidating.
I'm a softie, I'm a softie.
I just want to say thank you, and it speaks volumes to you that your staff is ready to take your place. And then that, to me, that says a lot about a leader, that you have your staff below you that's ready to step into the role.
I think I've been talking to Dorothy for the past 2 years. You know, I got delayed because of COVID, so it wasn't really something that I didn't plan on staying around for another 2 years. But, you know, COVID came and there was no place to go, so what's the sense of retiring? So,
Let me say one more thing. Both of us were at the county, and, you know, the county did go through some challenging financial times, and the county tended to make some decisions that I think both of us questioned in terms of financial decisions, where they would sort of take from the future to get through today and make the future a lot harder to manage. A lot of one-shot, they call them, solutions. You take future revenues and advance them into the current year, and really setting up future boards for failure. And you have been just the opposite here, you know, avoiding any gimmicks, any smoke and mirrors, just making sure that the town's budget is fully structurally sound, and making hard decisions, sometimes unpopular decisions, but you know that are in the long-term best financial interest of the taxpayers of the town of Southampton. So your legacy will be ongoing, because it's only going to get better, I believe, in the years ahead because of the decisions we've made over the last few years to pay down debts, to do capital projects that actually are revenue generating or significantly cost saving. I think that future boards will, you know, be in a very strong financial position because of those decisions that, you know, you helped this board make. So thank you for that. Don't be a stranger. We're going to hopefully keep you around as a consultant and take advantage of your expertise and continue to make good decisions. And thank you for preparing and training Dorothy, because we know she'll be able to step right up and continue some of the wise financial guidance that you've been providing us. So with that, I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It sounded unanimous to me, so
Congratulations.
we're going to let you retire, Len.
all right. I wanted to take a picture, so I have it in my scrapbook. So why don't you come up and do that?
You want the whole board?
Yeah, or something.
Who's taking the picture?
You got to do a selfie?
Yeah.
Hey, you don't work for him anymore.
Yeah.
Want to come back here so you got a good
Yeah,
picture?
maybe that's
Kinda.
good. I'll come back here.
Which way?
All right, here, I'll roll the chairs back.
I'm not supposed to be telling you guys what to do, but I just,
Well,
Come over here.
this is a one-time offer.
yeah. Hold on, let me open this up. I don't get many pictures, so.
Why not?
Everybody get in tight.
Good, great.
All right,
Thank you.
go and have fun. Now, you're here till the end of the month, right?
Yeah, and then I'll be back. I actually, I gotta be in front of this board June 2nd.
Many meetings, I found meetings coming.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
It's good to be.
Yeah, we don't get that. Okay, so we are now going back to where
Page 10.
we were, which is page 10, I'm told.
Right. we
Yeah,
did,
resolution
Right.
509.
Yeah.
All right.
Town Board Resolution 509
You wanna
for
read that one?
2022.
Go
I'm sorry, we did it, we did this one already.
did.
No, you
No,
didn't.
I'm sorry.
But I'll let you read
No,
it.
no, go ahead, go ahead, it's yours,
Let's
it's
do it
yours.
again.
I did that twice already.
All right, 509 of 2022, authorize the this is co-sponsored with Councilman Bouvier. Authorize supervisor to sign a contract with L.K. McLean Associates PC to provide professional services for the physical assessment of the Martyr Building.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 510 of 22, authorize supervisor to sign agreement with the Village of Southampton for the broadcast of village programming on the town's education and government television channel.
Second, and Sunday, could I be added as a co-sponsor, please?
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Clerk, did you get that? It's co-sponsored by Councilman Scavone. All right, 511 of 2022, authorize supervisor to sign an amended agreement with Suffolk County for the implementation of the school bus stock arm camera program.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 512 of 2022, authorize the supervisor to execute Parks and Recreation Agreement for Denise Giles.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 513 of 22, authorize supervisor to enter into an emergency services unit intermunicipal agreement for police tactical team cooperation with the Village of Quogue and West Hampton Beach.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 514 of 22, authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with A. Martin Petrovich, Professor of Horticulture, to review the 2022 groundwater monitoring reports of the Sabonic Golf Course.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 515 of 22, authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with A. Martin Petrovic, Professor of Horticulture, to review the 2022 groundwater monitoring reports, annual superintendent's report, and management of the Bridge Golf Course.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 516 of 2022, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
How would you like to amend it?
So I need where the fourth whereas, where it says $175, it should say $250. And underneath where it says not to exceed 1,000, it should say 10,000. It's also in the first resolve and the second resolve.
Is the,
At 10,000?
should the first 1,000 be 10,000 too?
Yes.
In the last whereas?
Yep. And then the financial impact will say 10,000 instead of 1,000.
I'm sorry, it's in 4 locations, the whereas, the 2 resolved, and the
Yes.
financial impact.
Correct.
All right, so the 175, which occurs once, becomes 250.
Correct.
And every other time where it says 1,000, it will change to 10,000.
Right, 4 times.
All right, so there's a motion to amend, I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Do you want
So
to?
Town Board Resolution 516 of 2022, as amended, authorize the supervisor to execute new stenographer contract with Colleen Track for Justice Court.
All right, so motion to approve as amended, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved as amended.
Town Board Resolution 517 of 2022 is authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Nursing Sisters Home Care, doing business as Catholic Home Care, to provide expanded in-home services for the elderly program, EISEP, to the town of Southampton residents.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 518 of 2022, authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Briscoe Protective LLC for Schaffner House, 1061 Bridgehampton, Sag Harbor Turnpike.
Second.
I'm not even sure where that is, that Schaffner House. Is that something we own? No, it's a Parks building.
Yes.
Oh, that, I know exactly where, this is the Long Pine Greenbelt.
Right, back in the woods.
Okay, so we had seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved.
Town Board Resolution 519 of 2022 is to authorize the supervisor to sign an extended contract for Hampton-based transfer station booth replacement with MRJ Industries Limited.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 520 of 2022, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract for printing of parking summonses with Dynamic Industries.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell, who's, I'm sorry, this is co-sponsored by Councilman Scavone and Councilman Martell. And a second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 521 of 2022, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Franks and Things for Good Ground Park mobile food truck.
Second?
All right, we'll find out what those things are.
Those things are.
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved.
Town Board Resolution 522 of 2022, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with King of Cones for Ludlam Avenue Park mobile ice cream concession.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 523 of 2022, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with King of Cones for Wildwood Lake Park mobile ice cream concession.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 524 of 2022 to award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Nelson and Pope for professional design services.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 525 of 2022, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with H2M Architects and Engineers for the Lobster Inn Park Capital Project Design.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 526 of 22, recall and amend, authorize the supervisor to execute 2022 Youth Bureau agreements with Youth Bureau Programming Consultants.
Second?
Just fixes the amount. Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 527 of 2022, recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2022-295.
Just fixes a scrivener's error.
Yep.
So is there a second?
Second?
Second by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 528 of 2022, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone. It's a 2022 notice to proposers RFP rehabilitation of Camp Tecawatha. I think I got that right. Dining hall.
Second.
Seconded, so yeah, this is the main lodge at the former Girl Scout camp.
Yep.
At, is it Squiretown Park? What do we do?
Squiretown.
So, this is exciting to be able to see that building rebuilt.
Yeah.
So, all right, we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 529 of 22 amends the 22 adopted budget for Highway Department to include CHIPS, Pave New York, and EWR funding.
Second?
Second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Okay, resolution 530 of 2022. I do need to make a motion to amend. So, we're crossing out in the first resolve the words, right after Vaso Systems, Inc., it says track loader from All Island Equipment Corp. That is being removed. In the third whereas, after the 187,000, it currently says total expenses for the track loader shall not exceed 90,000. That's got to come out. And then in the line below that, where it says the total amount of 480,000, that will go down to 390,000. And in the resolve clause, again, where it says track loader from All Island Equipment, that is getting removed. And then in the financial impact, the 480,000 again becomes 390,000. Now, Sunday, do you have all those?
Janice
Yes.
gave me your changes.
Okay,
So we're all set.
All right, so
Very efficient.
I won't repeat them then. All right, so I'll make a motion to amend as I just described.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended. This is co-sponsored with Councilman
Same
Martell.
second?
Same second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay, 531 of 2022, authorized transfer from town police restricted account.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. This is for the Explorers Program. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Town Board Resolution 532 of 2022, selection of Josiah Foster House at East Quogue as recipient of the 2022 Southampton Town Landmarks Maintenance Award.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. That's good.
Town Board Resolution 533 of 2022, accept resignation of Irene Anthony from the Hampton Bays Citizens Advisory Committee.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 534 of 2022. I think everybody wanted to co-sponsor this, and we were not able to make the changes in time. So why don't we start with that? Sunday, can we add Councilman Bouvier and Councilman Schiavone on as co-sponsors?
Absolutely.
Okay, so 534 of 2022, co-sponsored by the rest of by the whole board, is a home rule request resolution, trustee tax line assembly bill 2022 A5623-A / Senate or S.5013-A. That's the Senate bill.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. So on the motion, so this is a home rule message. So there are certain types of legislation that, as they go through Albany, the state legislature, if they affect a locality like this one, they require a home rule message before they can get out of committee and be voted on by the Assembly. So Assemblyman Thiel and Senator Palumbo have put companion legislation in to allow the town to break the expenses of the trustees out on its own line on the tax bill. It does a little bit more than that. So it shows the actual costs of the operation of the town trustees, but it also prevents future boards from defunding the trustees. So whatever budget they put in, as long as it complies with whatever the state tax cap is, usually around 2%, the town board would no longer have the ability to reduce that funding. We would have to accept it as is. We have other decisions, such as grant monies and things like that, that will continue to be at our discretion. But it will prohibit a board in the future, and we're starting with the year 2024, the budget for the year 2024. I have worked with the Controller's Office and with Trustee Horowitz, President Horowitz, in trying to break down as best we can the actual cost of the trustee operation. We have a pretty detailed, granular breakdown now for that. Of course, we have a year and a half still before we have to figure out what the tax component is. Now, I believe this is important for two reasons. One is it increases transparency and accountability. The public who vote on the trustees can see exactly how they are managing the budget. And if they are increasing trustee expenditures, they won't be able to do it because they can't without coming to this board to pierce the cap. They don't have the ability on their own to pierce the cap. I think that's important. But it's also through the years, I understand as I look across the room at the Dungan patent on our walls that the trustees were here before we were, that they're a colonial grant, and I do take their responsibilities very seriously. I believe the trustees serve a vital role in terms of protecting public access to the ocean front, to our waterways, and also as stewards for the underwater lands, including our vital shellfish populations and marine species. I think it's a really important function, and it's too important to be left to the mercy of some future town board that might have fundamental disagreements and decide that they don't deserve town funding. And without town funding, they cannot hire lawyers, they can't hire staff, they can't do the things that they were established to do. So I'm not worried about this board defunding the trustees, but I think this is a historic legislation in that it protects the trustee function moving forward. And they still are accountable. They're voted every 2 years by the public. The public decides who the stewards of the underwater lands ought to be. So I believe this increases transparency and at the same time provides more certainty that they will be able to exist and perform their functions into the future. I will throw it to the rest of you if you guys have anything else to say on the motion. Anyone?
I think you pretty much
I
covered
agree,
it.
yes.
All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? All right, it's unanimous. And Sunday, you will forward that to Assembly?
We've got it
Assembly
all
Field?
ready to go.
Okay. I know I have to,
Backs are sitting,
I have to
waiting
sign the blue
for you,
sheet.
and I need to bring those up, so don't go anywhere after the meeting, please.
all right, so, we already did the next one, which is 535.
Correct. Town Board Resolution 536 of 2022 is a resolution of adoption amending various provisions of Chapter 330 zoning, Article 28, landmarks and historic districts and historic resource area to meet certain requirements as designation as a certified local government. I'm going to table this till the next
Yeah, you have to,
meeting.
because we didn't close the hearing.
Right.
Well, we closed
We
the,
closed the hearing for
We
written
didn't close the
comment,
written
but we
record.
didn't, this will be on for
all right, so
vote.
the motion to table 536 by Councilman Bouvier, I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So tabled.
And it's a few pages.
Yeah.
47.
47.
All right, we're on page 47, Councilman Scavone.
Town Board Resolution 537 of 2022, authorization of a cost reimbursement waiver for the East Quogue Fire Department Memorial Day Parade on May 29th, 2022, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
That's co-sponsored by Councilman Bouvier.
That's
who's
co-sponsored with Councilman Bouvier.
seconding, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 538 of 2022 part-time salaries.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. We already
did
did
this.
539, so we're at 540 of 2022, amends the CSEA salary schedule, May 1, 2022.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 541 of 2022 appoints Shannon Conrad to driver messenger position in Controller's Office.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 542 of 22 appoints Alexis Warrenchell to sanitation helper position in Municipal Works Waste Management Division.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 543 of 22 appoints Allison Spano to management technician position in public safety.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 544 of 22 appoints driver messenger in human resources.
Second?
This is for Ashley and Dexter. Seconded by Councilman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 545 of 2022 appoints James Perini, Deputy Town Assessor.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. Hang on one second. Okay, yeah, it's fine. All right, seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 546 of 2022 appoints Jeremy Smith to laborer position in Municipal Works Waste Management Division.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 547 of 22 appoints Kenneth Williams to ordinance inspector position.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 548 of 22 appoints Maria Lakinitis to office assistant Spanish-speaking position in Southampton Town Police Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Congratulations. 549 of 22 appoints Michael Conroy to heavy equipment operator position in waste management.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 550 of 2022 appoints Monica Panaccia to senior citizen program supervisor position in senior services.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations. 551 of 22 appoints Tara Farrell to administrative assistant position in public safety.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Congratulations. 552 of 2022, authorizing the hiring of Dylan Kelly, police officer start.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Congratulations. I guess we'll get the information on the swearing-in ceremony. But typically, the board is invited to the swearing-in for new police officers. 553, 2022, promotes police officer Josiah Hashla to rank of sergeant in Southampton Town Police Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Congratulations. Tommy John?
Town Board Resolution 554 of 2022. We are going to table it until,
No, this is another public
this
hearing.
is different?
Yeah.
Okay. Notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, amending and adding parking prohibited designated locations regulations on a portion of County Road 80, Montauk Highway, East Quogue,
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, who's
and co-sponsored by Councilwoman McNamara.
So, yeah, so I think our town engineer made mention of this earlier.
There was a
Some
slight change.
minor modifications to it, so we would have concurrent hearings. All right, so this would be for May 24th hearing at 6 PM. So we had a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, to the walk-ons. John, you had the first one.
Walk-on number 40357, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, is the authorization of food truck vendors at the Southampton Animal Shelter Paws and Park special event on May 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Resolution 40381. This is warrant number 9, capital number 9, CPF number 9, and payroll liability.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution ID 40391, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract for traffic line striping and traffic markings with Seneca Pavement.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 40395, notice of public hearing to consider the adoption of the 2022 CPF pilot plan.
On the motion,
Yeah.
just curious if this was part of what we had discussed about offering pilots to all school districts.
I don't think we have the ability yet to do that.
Yeah,
I
it's
think that
just,
Fred would have to do something up in Albany to do before we can do that. So I think this is the,
this won't include that, I guess is my question.
it won't
All right.
help Tuckahoe.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think we have that ability yet.
Second.
All right. And we'll, this is to set the hearing.
Right, that's just, because I know we were getting to that point, and
Yeah. All right, so seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 40402, our last resolution is a notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 50, open government, to allow members of public bodies of the town to participate in meetings via video conference.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. This is a public hearing. The state is now allowing hybrid meetings under the open meetings law. So this would enable it. We still will have some, after this public hearing, should we adopt it, it'll give us the ability to sort of put together the program in conformance with the open meetings law. So likely, we would then be able to continue to have a meeting, even if one of the five of you could not make it here. You could do it, you could appear via video conferencing. And I think that applies to the public as well, that they will be able to participate in the public hearings and the public portions via video conferencing. That's Jim, that's a separate resolution, I believe, that we'll have to pass, adopting our own procedures that are in compliance.
That's correct.
But this is a necessary step first that would allow us then to adopt that procedure. So, all right, so there's a motion and a second to set the public hearing. And just one other thing on it, I think it's important, not just because we're big geographically, but if we're people who are disabled, or physically challenged in one way or another, it gives them greater ability to participate, either as part of an elected body or as part of the public. So anyway, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay, that is the last resolution. Is there any other business?
Just to remind everyone that your school budget vote is on May 17th, and if you are watching this, it's probably around the 17th. So please make sure you vote in your school budget elections.
I think also this Saturday, there's a vigil, I believe, at Good Ground Park.
At Good Ground Park, it's 6, I think, or 8.
There's a vigil, yeah, it's sort of a mental health awareness.
7 PM?
Seven.
Part of the Addiction Recovery Committee. It's been a yearly gathering there to sort of remember those who struggled with addiction.
And they're adding those lost in the pandemic this year as well to that.
Oh, really? We're adding the pandemic to it too, so it's sort of as sad as an event like this can be, they've been very uplifting. It's more about the future and about celebrating people's lives and bringing the community together. So it is a time to remember, but it also is a way to unite the community and prevent others from falling through the cracks. Do we know the time on that?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at Good Ground Park. Okay, any other business? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I gotta
We are adjourned.
John, I was pretty good.
It went pretty well, right?